The golden era of British motorcycling was a time of roaring engines and global dominance. But by the 1960s and 70s, that roar had turned into a desperate sputter. As Japanese manufacturers arrived with electric starts, zero oil leaks, and perfect reliability, Britain's legendary factories were paralyzed by strikes, stubborn management, and ancient machinery. Buyers who stayed loyal to the badges they grew up with trusted their hard-earned wages to manufacturers who swore things were fine. They were dangerously wrong. From frames that vibrated themselves to pieces, to bizarre engineering experiments that nobody asked for, these motorcycles became symbols of an empire crashing down. And the story behind number 1 is so tragic and expensive, it still haunts the industry today. Stay with us, because what's coming will shock you more than you expect. Number 10. Triumph Tina Scooter. The Triumph Tina is a machine that genuinely had the potential to capture a massive market, but failed spectacularly. Launched in 1962, Triumph designed the Tina specifically to attract women and everyday commuters, featuring a continuously variable transmission, or CVT. On paper, a twist-and-go scooter from a legendary brand sounded perfect. But that transmission was a nightmare. A fatal design flaw meant that the drive belt could unexpectedly engage while the scooter was idling. Riders standing next to their bikes at traffic lights suddenly found their Tinas launching forward into the backs of cars or into brick walls. Mechanics hated working on them, and the public quickly lost trust. For a brand known for conquering land speed records, the Tina was deeply embarrassing. But that was only the beginning. Things get considerably worse from here. Number 9. BSA Beagle. BSA Beagle is a name that still triggers groans among classic mechanics. Launched in 1963, BSA intended the 75 cubic centimeters Beagle to be the British answer to the unstoppable Honda Super Cub. The marketing team spoke about it with enormous confidence as the ultimate cheap commuter. What buyers received was something that barely functioned. The engine was so poorly designed that it leaked oil almost immediately from the showroom floor. Valves were notorious for dropping straight into the cylinder head, completely destroying the engine at cruising speeds. Build quality felt flimsy, and it required constant, tedious maintenance that budget-conscious buyers simply couldn't afford. It was supposed to save BSA's lightweight division. Instead, it proved to the world that the British couldn't build a reliable small-capacity bike. Number 8. Velocette Viceroy. Velocette Viceroy comes from a manufacturer known for winning world championships, which makes this disaster so difficult to comprehend. The Viceroy arrived in 1960 as a large, executive-style scooter. Velocette engineers decided to be clever, fitting a 250 cubic centimeters flat-twin engine at the very front of the scooter, driving the rear wheel via a long, complicated shaft. The result was an incredibly heavy, over-engineered machine that was terribly difficult to handle at low speeds. The styling was massive and bulky, completely missing the sleek elegance that Italian brands like Vespa were offering. It was incredibly expensive to manufacture, and nobody bought it. The Viceroy drained Velocette's development budget so severely that it effectively triggered the slow death of the entire company. Number 7. Norton Jubilee 250. Norton Jubilee 250 is perhaps the most quietly resented motorcycle Norton ever produced. Launched to celebrate the company's Diamond Jubilee, it was Norton's attempt to capture the lucrative learner-rider market. But engineers worked under enormous time and budget pressure, and it showed. The 250 cubic centimeters twin-cylinder engine was fragile, prone to overheating, and suffered from disastrous oil pressure issues. The engine internals wore out incredibly fast, and the electrical system was notoriously unreliable. Motoring journalists tried to be kind to the legendary Norton badge, but sales figures eventually reflected the public's disillusionment. Young riders who bought the Jubilee as their first bike felt deceived, and many switched to Japanese bikes the moment they passed their tests. Number 6. Triumph TR25W Trophy. The Triumph TR25W Trophy represents one of the most cynical examples of badge engineering of the entire era. By the late 1960s, the BSA Triumph Group was struggling. Instead of designing a new 250 cubic centimeters machine, they simply took the heavily criticized BSA Starfire, painted it differently, slapped a Triumph badge on the tank, and called it a trophy. The 250 cubic centimeters single-cylinder engine vibrated so violently at highway speeds that parts would literally shake loose and fall onto the road. Handling was uninspiring, and it leaked oil with depressing regularity. Competitors from Japan were offering smooth, fast, twin-cylinder 250s, while Triumph was selling an outdated, vibrating relic. Sales disappointed, and it badly damaged the prestige of the trophy name. Stay with us, because the story behind number 3 is genuinely hard to believe. Number 5. Aerial Arrow. The Aerial Arrow was a bike that should have been a celebration of forward-thinking design, but became a victim of its own cheapness. Launched in the early 60s, it featured a unique pressed steel frame instead of traditional tubular steel, earning it the nickname the Flying Banana. On paper, the two-stroke twin engine offered decent performance. In practice, the problems accumulated relentlessly. The pressed steel frame was a magnet for rust in the damp British weather. If the bike was ever dropped, the frame would bend and was almost impossible to straighten safely. The exposed exhaust pipes hung perilously low, completely ruining ground clearance on corners. By the time the 1970s approached, the Arrow looked like a strange antique, outclassed in every way by modern machinery. Number 4. Silk 700S. The Silk 700S is a motorcycle so deeply out of touch with reality that it is almost impossible to discuss seriously. Launched in 1975, in the middle of a massive global fuel crisis and the dominance of the Kawasaki Z1, the Silk 700S was entirely the wrong bike at the wrong time. It was a boutique, hand-built motorcycle that used an updated version of a 1930s Scott two-stroke engine. While it was incredibly light and handled well, it sounded like a vintage tractor and required the rider to manually mix oil and petrol, a practice buyers had abandoned years ago. Worst of all, it cost more than the fastest superbikes in the world. Buyers who wanted a modern machine looked at the Silk, laughed at the price tag, and walked away. Number 3. Greaves Griffon. Greaves Griffon is a machine with a history that stretches beyond mechanical complaints into genuine stubbornness. For years, Greaves had dominated off-road scrambling with their iconic leading link forks and cast alloy frames. But when the Griffon launched in the late 1960s and early 70s, the world had changed. Husqvarna, Suzuki, and Yamaha were building ultralight, incredibly fast motocross bikes. Greaves refused to modernize. The Griffon remained heavy, using outdated engine technology and a suspension setup that simply couldn't handle modern, aggressive dirt tracks. It wasn't that the Griffon was fundamentally broken, it was that the company arrogantly believed their old formula would work forever. The riders lost faith quickly, and Greaves vanished from the dirt tracks they once ruled. Number 2. Quasar. The Quasar is a vehicle that came closer than almost anything else on this list to being completely unrecognizable as a motorcycle. Launched in the late 1970s, it was a feet-forward enclosed motorcycle that featured a roof, a car-like seat, and an engine ripped straight out of a Reliant Robin. The creators believed they were inventing the future of comfortable, weatherproof touring. Instead, they created a terrifyingly heavy machine that was completely unstable at low speeds. Riders felt trapped inside the cockpit. In heavy crosswinds, the roof acted like a sail, threatening to push the bike into oncoming traffic. Dealerships didn't know how to sell it, and traditional bikers hated it. You might think this is the strangest failure, but number 1 changes everything. Number 1. Hesketh V1000. Number 1 belongs to a motorcycle that committed the most unforgivable crime possible. It promised the ultimate resurrection of British glory, and delivered absolute heartbreak. The Hesketh V1000, conceived in the late 1970s and launched by Lord Hesketh himself, was supposed to be the Aston Martin of motorcycles. It was massive, beautiful, and powered by a roaring V-twin engine. Journalists were euphoric. The patriotism was intoxicating. And then the bikes arrived in buyers' hands. The heavy engine overheated horribly in traffic, practically roasting the rider's legs. The gearbox was so incredibly stiff and fragile that selecting neutral was genuinely impossible, and gears would shatter under pressure. The bike was too heavy, too tall, and leaked oil just like the ghosts of the past. It bankrupted the company almost immediately. Here was the machine meant to save the British motorcycle industry, and instead, it became its most spectacular and expensive failure. The collapse of the British motorcycle empire left deep scars. Behind every bike on this list sat thousands of riders who saved carefully, trusted completely, and rode home on something that would test their patience for years. Some of these manufacturers never recovered, their factories bulldozed and forgotten. But even in their darkest moments, this era produced tension, drama, and a raw mechanical spirit that modern bikes simply cannot replicate. Which motorcycle on today's list frustrated you most? Let us know in the comments below. And subscribe to Britain Shift for more stories from the roads and workshops that shaped history. Until next time.